Well, it's interesting, and we have, when you say we've got inexperience on the left side of our line, we've got a little bit of inexperience in terms of the game experience, if you will. So Ben Dew, the transfer from Hawaii, is going to start for us at left guard, and he was a starter at Hawaii, so he's got some college starting experience, and has had a great camp for us. He's got 2 years left. Again, he graduated from Hawaii in 3 years and has 2 years left. Be a junior this fall. Emeka Okafor is a young man that's been in our program, as has Damian Paris. So within our program, and I've said this a couple times, we know what we feel like they're going to do, but certainly the public hasn't seen them perform yet. So, you know, those two, Emeka played actually for us as a true freshman a couple years ago, then he redshirted his sophomore year, and Emeka is going to see time both at left guard and at right guard. And again, got great confidence in Emeka, and he's had a great camp as well. And then Damian Paris will start for us at left tackle. He's a young man that came in a year and a half ago, redshirted last year. He's a junior as well. Emeka's a junior as well. So, you know, it's I think we'll look that position group, to me, the offensive line, is, I think publicly, is going to be a pleasant surprise. I think within our program, it's not going to surprise anyone how well they play this season. And again, you know, center is Bryce Redmond, will be a 3-year starter. Our right guards will be Rowdy Harper, and our right tackles will be Alex Cooper, a young man that hasn't played a whole lot of football in his life, and is extremely athletic and very talented and very smart. So he's going to hold down that right tackle position. Again, in terms of playing in games, he's played on some special teams. He's played as a backup lineman the last couple of years. Came here at about 240 pounds, and now he's about 295. So, you know, I'm excited about our offensive line. I'm excited for them to have the opportunity to go out and really play well together and just be a solid unit for us this year, which again, I think on the outside may surprise some people, but it will not internally. The running game, I think, is looking good. Again, we you know, right now we're undefeated, so I can't comment too much further on how it looks, but I've said a number of times, publicly and certainly privately within our offices, we've got to be able to run the football, and we've got to run it effectively. We've got to run it creatively. We can't be predictable, and we've got to play to our student athletes' strengths, and that's not just with our running back, but that's also with our offensive line. So, you know, we're going to see. I think people have asked me, you know, when you talk about the tempo this year, and you talk about some things philosophically with Travis Bush as offensive coordinator, people have asked me, are we going to see some changes? What's going to be the difference? You know, how much are we getting away from what we've done in the past? And I think, I shouldn't say I think, I know people are going to say, wow, this is what it has looked like over the course of the last several years. And if someone's sitting in the stands and sees a couple of little tweaks, it may be in the running game a little bit in terms of some schemes that we end up running, just again to play to the strengths of our student athletes, and that's something that we focused on in the spring, and again, I think we're doing a good job so far this fall. Well, and you know what? You said it, but I'm not going to say this year this is a young team. And again, just to respectfully disagree with the comment. I've said that for the last 2 years, and now I think we've got some experience in our program as well. And I think when you look at the team captains, it's always interesting as a coaching staff to look and see how many different student athletes received a significant number of votes. And for the second year in a row, we had 6 young men that we named captain. This year, 3 on offense, 3 on defense. Last year, you may remember Richie Leone was a specialist for us and was named captain. But last year, we only had 2 of the 6 were seniors. This year, 4 of the 6 are seniors. Trayvon Stewart and Kenneth Farrow being the 2 junior captains, and we had a number of young men in our program receive 30 to 40 votes, and were not elected captain with 30 to 40 votes by their teammates. So that is a good sign. I've been in programs. This is my 20th year of coaching, I believe, and I've been in programs before where the captains are very obvious, and 2 guys get 100 votes, and that's who you got. And while that may sound like a positive, in my opinion, that ends up being a negative, because you've got 120 student athletes in your program, and in that case, they only see 2 leaders. And in our program right now, based on the votes, our student athletes see there's about 12 to 15 leaders. So when you have leadership from within your program, and we talk to our young men all the time, we'll be as good as you guys want us to be. And we are limited, if you will, we are limited by the NCAA as to how much time we can spend with our student athletes in meetings, at practice. So when they leave here, when they're in the locker room, when they're going to eat, when they're studying, they've got to take ownership in the program. And when you've got tremendous captains and tremendous leadership, I think you've got a good start to a recipe for success.
What's your feel about the defense this year? Because they had such a great year last year, and they became this defense with an identity of making big plays, taking the ball away, giving the offense a chance. Have they embraced that? They're ready to build on that and more? Or, I mean, are you conscious of telling them, hey, last year's over, put it away, now let's move forward?
Well, a couple things. And first, I think one of the words you just used in the question, identity, is exactly right. And I think we feel like as a staff, and even going back and watching last year's games from game 1 through game 13, I think early in the year, I'm not sure we had the identity we did at the end of the season. And I said coming out of last year's spring practice, not this past spring, but the one before, that our defense was very, very confident in, people gave me strange looks when I said that, because the prior season we were, I think, 110th in scoring defense. But we saw a change going through that spring. We entered the season, and we played well early. We created turnovers early, but I don't think whether it's identity or whether it's confidence, I think that really came midway through the course of last season. And that's something, when you talk about last year, just to reference the second part of your question, as coaches, or at least in our program, we do talk to our student athletes about last year. Last year's in the past, it's over, we got to move forward, whether it was a disappointing year or a successful year. And when you look at our defense, and on paper we've got 9 returning starters, losing the 2 starting corners from last year. We do have 3 young men returning this year that played significantly for us last year as backups. We have Lee Hightower and Tyler White that came in, that were transfers that sat out last year. Howard Wilson is a true freshman that's going to see playing time for us as well at corner. So, we feel like we've got experience there. We've got young men that have made plays for us. When you talk about those turnovers, Trayvon Stewart made 10, created 10 himself. Adrian McDonald had 6 interceptions. So you've got young men back that took balls away, intercepted passes, recovered fumbles across the board, defensive line, linebacker, and defensive back. I had a number of people over the course of the offseason in interviews, various interviews, say, turnovers are cyclical. You'll get a bunch one year, and then the next year you'll be down, and the following year you'll get a bunch. And I'm not, that's not how I operate. I know what last year was last year. This year we're going to coach, the same way we did. We're going to tweak some things as well in terms of how we coach, but we're going to continue to emphasize taking the football away and tackling on defense, which is what we felt like created those turnovers and the drop in scoring defense from 110th to 20th. And I'd be disappointed if we didn't create a lot of turnovers again defensively this year.
UTSA, they like to spread the field with Jane Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Tucker Carter, you guys saw him series 1, 2, 3 last year. Do you have confidence in those defensive backs coming back?
I do, and again, just like Coach Coker has confidence in Tucker Carter and Cam Jones, again, Tucker, I think, played in 5 games last year. We've studied his plays specifically. We've studied their offense certainly since last spring, but again, we've got experienced young men back there. Trayvon Stewart and Adrian McDonald, I mentioned. At corner, we're going to have, I think, some talented young men. William Jackson, who's a 6'1" corner. Lee Hightower is going to start at the other corner position, who's 6'2", and both can run and are very physical. So, we've got great confidence in our defense, and I think we've got tremendous depth and quality depth in our secondary as well. So it'll be, and again, you talk about UTSA and the weapons they have, you're exactly right. They spread it out. They can run the ball very effectively, and they've got great weapons at receiver as well. So it'll be, that will be a tremendous matchup. Mm-hmm. We feel good about our kicking game, and it's something we emphasize quite a bit. The head coach here is a former kicking coach, so it's emphasized in our program quite extensively. And you know, a couple things. DeMarcus Ayers, in terms of our kickoff returner, as a true freshman last year, doing it for the first time, was the conference player of the year, and is as good a kickoff returner as I've ever had the opportunity and privilege to coach. Greg Ward ended up being our punt returner at the end of last season. He will resume that role this year, and we've put a lot more emphasis in camp on our punt return game, and I think that will improve. And when you talk about the specialists specifically, our long snapper returns, he'll be a junior. Our holder, Dylan Seibert, from last year, returns. Kyle Bullard, who ended up taking over the place kicking duties in the middle of the season last year, will be a junior, has had a great camp. And then when I talk about young men that had a great spring and an outstanding August, Ty Cummings falls in that category. So Ty last year was a true freshman, played very, very limited in terms of kicking off for us, and is really hitting the ball well. Started last spring, continued through the summer, and has had a great camp. So he will handle our kickoffs for us. And in the punting duties, both Dylan Seibert and Logan Piper, they're both juniors, and both have worked extremely hard over the summer. It's very, very evident that the work they put in over the summer, and I think we'll see both of them compete for us this season in games. In terms of one punt longer, you know, I'm actually thinking about maybe putting them both back there. Put one on the right and then a punter on the left. You know, our snapper, yeah, one's a former baseball player. Our snapper is actually amphibious, so he can snap it both directions. Yeah. Yeah. That was a joke in case people at home. No, Joseph Duarte's at home. He's like amphibious. He just said amphibious. Yeah. No, we'll see. But they'll both anticipate both of them playing. Anything else? All right. Thank you.